Hello everyone. I'm going to take chapter 4 and break it down into different parts and give you different assignments for those parts. What I want to do with this chapter is look at the organizational behavior and management thinking. Write down of the learning objectives. What I'm first looking at is characterizing organizational behavior and explain the role of thinking in soft skills and organizational behavior. Guys, down below you see introduction. We all want to understand ourselves and others, especially in the workplace, as the Bard was wont to remind us that the fault lies not in our stars, but in ourselves. Events in our lives do not originate out there caused by circumstances beyond our control. Instead, they depend on our own actions and, as we shall see, on our own thinking, much of which is beyond your awareness. If you turn over to the next page, page 74, what I want you to pay attention to is when we appreciate how we ourselves think, our own mental processes, we will be better prepared to understand the behaviors and actions of others in organizations. As an inspiring manager, which I hope you are, you will be expected to think clear and keep learning. Clear thinking means knowing why you think, why you believe what you believe, and how you know what you know. Much of what you know is based on your prior life experiences, which most people seldom examine critically. In today's world, we all are called upon to think deeply. Healthcare managers, like managers in other industries, are responsible for effectively using the informational, financial, physical, and human resources of their organization to deliver patient services. As you see from the topics presented in this textbook, the manager role requires a wide range of interpersonal skills. And some of these skills we went over at the beginning when we did the soft skills assignment. Managers need to have people skills, leadership, motivation, managing healthcare professionals, and teamwork. Some of the other soft skills that we talked about was communication, thinking, teamwork, problem solving, adapting and being flexible, work ethic, time management, leadership. In today's job market, technical skills alone are not enough. I hear this constantly from employers who contact us. They want not just workers with technical skills, but also with those soft skills / people skills. And those soft skills are interaction and relationship skills, include both thinking skills, which is that critical thinking, and the teamwork stuff falls under that. Also want you to have social and emotional skills, which are those people skills, the teamwork, the communication, empathy for others, self-awareness, and self-discipline. Soft skills are organizational behavior skills, and developing them is an advantage for initial hiring and future advancement in management. And you'll see some of this as we go along in the HMT program, and also when you get to the work-based learning course, one of the last ones you take before you graduate. The purpose of this chapter is to see how managers think, especially the mental processes that short-circuit quality thinking. As you read and participate in the class discussion and assignment, pay attention to how you think when we go through the information. The field of organizational behavior, guys, is a broad area of management that studies how people act in organizations. The field of organizational behavior has evolved from the scientific study of management during the industrial era to the administrative theories of the manager's role, principles of bureaucracy, human relations studies of employee needs, and new insights from human cognitive and complexity theory. The organizational behavior contribution to management plays the most successful organization makes the best use of their employees' talents and energies. Firms that effectively manage employees have a competitive advantage in their field. There was a study done that found that 40% of companies gain by managing people in ways that build commitment, involvement, learning, and ultimately organizational competencies and performance. In short, as noted previously, the so-called soft skills matter. Because employees drive an organizational success, how well that manager interacts and works with a variety of individuals is key to the manager's success. You will also, in that role as a healthcare manager, you'll not only interact with staff, but also with physicians, insurance companies, state agencies, etc. Some of the key topics in organizational behavior is concerned with creating work conditions that foster employee effectiveness and organizational productivity. Organizational behaviors are typically examined at different levels. You have an individual behavior, group behavior, and a collective behavior across the organization, with different topics prominent at each level. At the Individual level, you'll have people who, managers who understand how assumptions and perceptions and personality influences work behavior, motivation, and important work outcomes. And where you see cognitive organizational wide behavior, this is sometimes worded as the organizational theory, how challenging it is for leadership, teamwork, decision making, power, and conflict. At the bottom of page 75, they talk about organizational behavior issues in health organizations. This is where organizational behavior is concerned with behavior that occurs under conditions found in organizational settings. Well, while a specific organization setting may create unique challenges or certain set of problems, the behaviors of interest in healthcare organizations are similar to other individual, group, and organizations in those settings. So if you take a hospital and compare it to a bank, you still have the same situation. You still have administrative staff, you still have upper management and middle management, and you're still dealing with a customer. A patient is a customer, just like a person that comes into a bank to cash a check is a customer. Many of the issues that arise in a healthcare organization, direct or indirect, affect what is expected of healthcare workers and how they behave in that organization. Example, if a patient walks in and passes out on the floor, CPR is administered, a blue code is called, such things like that. Healthcare organizations are staffed with professional workforce and impose exact requirements on how it's organized and accomplished. Nurses have rules, doctors have rules, licensed personnel have rules of things that they have to follow. On the bottom of page 76, they talk about thinking, the inner game of organizational behavior. The purpose of thinking is to inform our actions, our choices, decisions, interactions, and behaviors. They talk about cognitive, which is on the bottom of page 76. It refers to the mental processes involved in thinking, including perceiving and attending to information, processing information, and ordering information to create meaning that is basis for choosing, acting, learning, and other human activities. This focus on thinking highlights the importance of perceptions, assumptions, expectations, individuals' identity, and judgments. On page 77, they talk about social cognitive. This is a study of how people make sense of other people and themselves. This follows under the branch of social psychology. You guys probably either took psych or also sociology, so that's part of that. On the bottom of page 77, they talk about emotions, how our feelings toward people, things, or events are not separate from thinking. Emotions can influence what we notice, perceive, and recall, how we make decisions, and distort our reasoning. Emotions can affect whatever we think deliberate or reactively, and our moods can affect how we make judgments. Under stress, strong emotions can even hijack our reasoning. The more emotionally charged a situation is, the harder it is to be rational, and you'll see that in healthcare. The manager's job in thinking. The manager has multiple tasks at work. Their tasks can be divided into three main kinds of work, comprised of 3 key roles and 10 areas within those roles. First is the informational role, where the manager acts as a monitor, a disseminator, and a spokesperson. Second is the decisional role, where the manager acts as an entrepreneur, disturbance handler, and resource allocator. Third is the interpersonal role, where the manager acts as a negotiator, leader, liaison, or figurehead. And a manager's day-to-day effectiveness in these decisional and interpersonal roles largely depend on human thinking process and how the social interactions are done in the business. If you turn over to page 78, they talk about the different 4 keys areas of thinking in organizational life: mental representation, information processing, decision making, and social cognitive. Also on page 78, they get more into the mental representation. We usually see thinking as a way to gain knowledge, yet pre-existing knowledge, especially how we represent what we know and believe, is really the starting point for how we think. Our brains are to store knowledge and beliefs as perfect, complete facts. Our brains would be overwhelmed. Instead, we store them in memory, and this is called mental representations, and they're only approximate the real world. So if you would read that information, and what I'm going to give you is a case study to cover those first 5 or 6 pages in chapter 1. It's how do we handle a girl like Maria. And this case study is going to be your reaction, your thinking, your past experiences. So if you read the case study, how do we handle a girl like Maria, and answer the 5 questions at the bottom of the form, and then I will continue on with the next video about schemas on page 79. Thank you.